Well, greetings everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of the Inworld Review, the show where we bring you news and general discussion on virtual worlds, interconnected, interactive, um, community, creative spaces online. Yes, there's so many different definitions these days. I don't quite know where to start. It's a lot of it's also virtual reality, and I'm sure you've heard that expression over the recent months and maybe years it is now, with all the hardware in that department coming along. More on that, of course, later. Today it's actually the first Saturday of the month, as well as being the first day of the month. So we're coming to you with our monthly edition from that grand old metaverse, the one that started it all in some ways, as far as on-screen virtual worlds are concerned, and that is Second Life. And we're here at our grand old ye oldie studios at Chilbo, the Chilbo community in Second Life. And as ever, I'm going to bring you some news to get us started before we move into discussion. But first of all, I'm going to introduce the folks I've actually got here in the studio with me. And we are joined again this week, I'm pleased to say, by my co-host Tara Yates. Welcome, Tara.
Thank you, Mel. Good to be here.
And also, as ever, by Maria Koroloff from Hypergrid Business. Welcome, Maria.
Hi, Mel. Always a pleasure to be here.
And we're also joined by an old friend we haven't actually seen for quite a while, but I'm very pleased to say she's here. She's actually active in a number of different worlds, but we grabbed her today in Second Life. Inworld name is Varda Silver, and she's also behind occasional TV show you might have come across called Virtual Voice. So welcome, Varda.
Hi there, Mel. Glad to be here.
Great to have you. We will go in.
Okay. So we just lost Mal, but the rest of us are here.
Sorry, Mal just sat on his button, didn't he?
Well,
Okay, sorry.
Gosh, we can't blame Skype this time.
No, you can't.
Stop keeping the button in your back pocket, Mel.
The little clip is now on my shirt, so hopefully I won't knock it and switch it off again. It's so clever having, and you got one mute switch in World, you got an unmute switch in Skype, and of course I have to have an unmute switch on my cable. Never mind. I am back now. So yes, I was saying that we are due, or were due, to be joined by JJ Sifanwe of the University of Western Australia, whose latest machinima and 3D arts competition has started. However, despite the fact we checked with him quite a few times about whatever, he doesn't seem to be here yet. I know it is sort of early breakfast time in Australia where he is, but we were expecting him. So he may turn up once the show is underway, in which case I will endeavour to bring him in, and we'll leave any talk about the machinima contest till later on when he may have joined us. Anyway, as I said, first of the month and first Saturday of the month, and here we are in Second Life. Now, I'm just going to read out some quick headlines. These are basically things I posted during the week on my newsfeed at twitter.com/malburns, all one word. To do with the greater metaverse and OpenSim and things like that. A lot of them lead to Maria's links at Hypergrid Business, so if I'm aware of those, I'll probably leave them out. So I'm going to start from today, as it were. Or should I say yesterday, when the last post went up by the look of it. In the shadow of Second Life, virtual reality startups say this time it'll work. Full stop. Really. That was a post that came to me via Scoop It, so I can't actually give you the direct link. You'll find it on my Twitter feed. But basically, it's talks about the several different companies that are building virtual world applications for the forthcoming virtual reality boom, or hardware boom, or whatever it's going to be called. Also, via Road to VR, GDC 2016 is to include a standalone virtual reality developers conference, which will be a sort of a conference within the game developers conference. So interesting. Mark Zuckerberg, who, if you've never heard of him, is the guy who literally owns and runs the Fastbook. He's actually had a post up saying virtual reality, the next big thing after video for Facebook. And yes, well, having bought Oculus Rift, he's going to be saying that, isn't he? But he's had a, I think it was actually an interview, if I remember rightly, rather than a sort of blog post. Maria will be telling us about a large virtual reality treadmill for rent in Milton Keynes. I guess it's just outside London here, so you never know. Well, I don't think I could be bothered, to be honest. Grid's battle, again, this is Maria's post, against lost hypergrid content. That was quite interesting in that it covers some of the things we've discussed here in the past. I'll leave I'll leave all the rest here to Maria because I think they're hers. Yes, so's that one. So's that one. Very good here. Right, flip it. QUT uses Google Cardboard to create a virtual reality experience for prospective students. And I forget what QUT is. I think it's a university. A report on that. Road to VR report that AltSpace VR have raised an extra $10 million to accelerate growth and product development. Here in Britain, TSC have announced the opening of a virtual reality lab for improving the transport network. I think this is the Transport Network UK wide as opposed to London Transport Network. Hopefully it will include that too. Maria talks about sales and marketing disruption. Oh yes, an old friend of ours, Ian Hughes, known in Second Life here as ePredator, formerly of IBM. He has a blog of his own called Life at the Feeding Edge these days, and he had a post actually reflecting on. He's got one photo here of the early days when we had our Twitter meetups here in Second Life, and they look the little fire and the logs look just as good then as they do today. Actually, nothing changed there. But anyway, he's got a post called "Return to the Campfire: Blended Reality and Mixed Reality." So you can find that. Well, it's Life at the Feeding Edge, but if you go to my Twitter feed, you'll find it there. Maria's Hyperica.com, as opposed to Meta World Business, had a post or a link up about the Moonlight region in DigiWorlds, which of course is the region that we spoke about last week, because it's where Linda Kelly has re-emerged under a different guise. And in fact, yes, the full name is Moonlight Mountain, the actual region that Maria posted. But she'll tell you more about that if she wants to, I'm sure. I posted a video on YouTube. Sorry, I liked a video on YouTube, should I say, and posted across to my Blogspot blog, which is malbonesannex.blogspot.com. It's a fairly short show called Virtual Alley, and it's a talk with Conan O'Brien, 360 Degrees, talking about, oh, you'll love this, Maria, virtual porn. But an interview with a chap called Kent By and a whole load of stuff. It was just a generally interesting little show, so I put that up on my blog. As we know, well, that leads into Maria's post about the adult metaverse heating up. Oh, yes, I love that description. And yeah, a few others here. I'm not entirely sure where they go to. They just come via Flip It. A new model for how we experience ourselves and each other in virtual worlds. You've got stage fright. Try confronting that fear using virtual reality. the big and rising area of virtual reality technology. And virtual reality is not just for fun. It's going to be used in automobiles, real estate, and marketing, would you believe? TheCurrentJournal.com has got another of its series, Amazing Spaces, with another venue from the great Canadian grid, where, of course, we normally are. And yep, I think I've come to the end of the list there. So I'm actually going to switch over to my other feed, which is Second Life. While I'm doing that, I'm going to hand the mic over to Tara for her take on the week. So over to you, Tara.
Thank you, Mel. Greetings, everyone, from the Pacific Northwest of the RL Sim, where it's baking again today. This has been a hellishly hot summer in this corner of the swamp. As anyone around the Northwest has probably commented, if you've heard from anybody around the Northwest, we've all been complaining about it. Those of us who consider this home, it's just been. I'd be happy to send this heat back to the Midwest, I think, where they've been missing it. Anyhow, well, obviously, since we're in Second Life, I get to do show and tell. And I have a number of things today to share. While Mel gets, yes, he's got Maria back in the call, who managed to drop herself out of it unintentionally.
Yep, I'm back.
Yes, it seems to be one of those days. Anyway, first off, on the back of the chair behind me is a kitty cat, and as anybody who's watched this show for any time in the last few years knows, I got into kitty cats here a while back, and for some time you've been able to, if you breed kitty cats, you end up with excess, and you can, when a kitty cat reaches its natural no longer breeding age, or it's one you really don't want to keep, you can send it to the menagerie, where the kitty cats get to frolic and play forever. Whenever you send in a kitty cat to the menagerie, you get a few kitty cat credits, and you build up enough of them, and for some time you've been able to get tigers. And tigers come in several different color variations as well as different sizes. Well, Kitty Cats has introduced some new kitty cats that one can get with kitty cat dollars, which you can only get by sending in kitty cats to the menagerie. And one of them is the one on the back of my chair, which is a confetti cat. And the confetti cats, apparently, I'm still waiting to see. You can, when you breed a patooey, yes, one of those, a confetti cat with another confetti cat, they will produce special babies. But they don't necessarily produce special babies, as the first one out of the pair I have has proved. But anyway, they're very cute. They're white cats with confetti on them in various places, on their chests, on their faces, and also on their back ends, which you can see if you were looking at the back of the cat. Anyhow, they're very cute. And there is now also I think it's called a giraffe cat, which is a kitty cat with giraffe horns.
Oh, cool.
And those you can get in multiple sizes. They are on the same range of how many kitty cat dollars you have to accumulate to get them as the tigers are. The confetti cats have a distinction in that they take considerably fewer kitty cat dollars to acquire. So that was kind of a nice touch on their part to give folks who don't necessarily build up kitty dollars very, very fast an opportunity to have something special. So anyway, but equal time for the dog lovers. I invited a few new friends to the party in the form of some entirely too cute basset hounds, who are over. One of them is coming out of the dog house, where of course they belong, and the others are standing there. These don't move around, which is too bad. I mean, it would kind of nice if they had some basset hound characteristics that way. But I'm always reminded of my neighbor's basset hound when I was growing up, who Tallulah, would sit on top of her doghouse and throw her head back and howl.
Oh,
with the ultimate ooga kind of.
Whoa,
And
whoa.
she was quite, her tone was, quite exceptional. And my bedroom happened to be the closest room in my house to where Tallulah's doghouse was. So anyhow, I have a soft spot for basset hounds. And also, we have a kitty cat who isn't put off by the basset hounds. And this isn't a kitty cat that's under the umbrella. This is a kitty.
Oh.
And
He's
both
a
of both
red kitty.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Both this kitty with his umbrella and the basset hounds with their food dish and their doghouse are creations from the Mustard Seed Home and Garden Store. Lavinia Godinot is the creator there. And the cat under the umbrella has the additional advantage that it's actually a gotcha item, but the cat, you can choose what color you want it to be. So I can change it to different kinds of kitties if I wanted to. And in between them is a plant from one of probably a lesser known garden location, but one that I'm rather fond of because the designer here has developed some scripting that enables her trees to move like they're moving in the wind, and in variable speeds depending upon what settings you use with them. And I think they're set up so that they react to in-world weather. Anyway, the creator is it's Hayabusa Design Center, Hayabusa Design Center, and it's Mitsuko Kitori is the designer. Yeah. This just happens to be a plant that was a giftie with a notice recently, and it was really nicely done, as all of hers are. Yeah, if you see trees that are moving, the chances are that's where they're from. Although somebody else has done some aspens, but hers are definitely worth looking at. And the last item I've brought for show and tell is thanks to an RPA, is a piano. You'll see we have a grand piano sitting on the other side of the stage today, and this is a mesh piano. And the things that particularly are noteworthy, pun intended, with this piano is finally there are pianos to be had that don't require half a sim in prims to res.
Yeah, that helps.
But even more importantly, it's a piano that is actually true to pianos and is scaled correctly for an avatar to sit at the piano and play it believably and not have 2 feet off the ground. Anybody who's ever played a piano, you sit down on a baby grand and you know what where your feet should end up in your hands and all that. And that's been a long time complaint of mine with even the best of the old prim created grand pianos in Second Life, is that they, to get your avatar's hands on the keyboards, your feet end up kind of in midair, well above the floor. And this has a number of sets of animations, and it's also got options. It's got a duo option. It's got built-in music. I haven't played the music to see what's in it. Anyway, an RPA did a nice blog post write-up on this. This is from Lisp, LISP, and it's currently at the Collaborate. And it comes in two different colors. This one, and then there's one that's it's not ebony. It's not walnut either. Anyway, it's a reddish brown wood. And the price compared to the old multi-prim ones is very very respectable. It's like under 300 prims, under 300 linden. So I mean, it's if you are dying to have a really really nice grand piano sitting in your virtual living room, check it out.
And I guess some Second Life musicians might well like it too.
Oh, exactly. Well, precisely. It's anyone who's a performer and performs with with an acoustic piano, This is definitely a keeper. It's easy to res. I fiddled with this one enough to get the piano exactly the right size, and get the animation set so they're in the right spot for my avatar. So because you can then customize once you've selected things. So that's really all really nice compared with the old ones, which you just couldn't do that stuff with. Anyhow, to move on to other items.
Forgive me if I was distracted somewhere. But, did you mention the thing on with the other dogs? It seems to be a bird with a unicorns thingy on it.
Oh, he's been there. He's been there for quite some time.
Oh, has he? Oh well.
Yeah, the dodo bird.
Fair enough.
Kiwi, the unique kiwi. Yeah, that's from Schadenfreude.
Okay, fine.
He's been there for quite some time. He was a couple of rounds back, I think, on the Pavilion Gotcha event was where he came from. Oh, and that naturally somebody's just started making some horrendous racket in my environment. So you know what I think I'm going to do, Mal?
Why don't you mute for a
while? I will take a break, and you can let Maria talk, and I'll let you know when the noise has stopped.
I think that's a very good idea. Okay, yeah, this is what happens in that sweltering hot weather. Right, okay, well, you heard that, Maria. It's time to cue you.
All right.
Fire it up.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, okay, fine.
Oh, thank God. So, first of all, you guys mentioned Linda Kelly on the Moonlight region on DigiWorlds. I want to point out that it's Linda Kelly and Jessica Random. Linda contacted me and said she felt bad that Jessica wasn't getting credit for all the stuff that she was doing. So Jessica Random was previously best known for the fairy castle ore that she had. The fairy castle by Jessica Random. And so she's now doing other stuff with Linda Kelly, and Linda Kelly just says that she's doing great work, and people should start paying attention to it. So we shall. Now, what Linda Kelly is doing is really, really cool. She is making mesh clothing kits for designers. So we've known her.
I like that.
I know we've known her regular clothing kits. With the basic shapes, and you can color them and texture them any way you want to. And of course, everything is CC0 licensed, so you can sell it or modify it or anything else. Well, if you go to her store, everything in there, again, same license terms. You can do anything you want with it, and everything is there. The alpha layers, the bake textures, the UV lights, all that weird stuff that I don't even know what it is. It's all there as part of the package, and with blank clothing shells that are all mesh that you can take and then just texture and color and play with them. So cool, so nice. So previously we had Darien Fates mesh templates, and now we have a whole brand new selection of stuff to play with. And it's not just clothing. There's furniture stuff in there too. So I want to take the opportunity to applaud her for getting into this, for learning how to do mesh, and everything is like, you know how Linda Kelly stuff, it's not missing any pieces, like when she makes something, she makes everything that goes with it.
Wow.
It's all in her style. There's no corners cut. There's no rough edges that you have to fix up by yourself when you get it home. Everything is there, and that's what she's doing with these mesh clothing kits as well. Everything you need is there. The alphas, the shadows, everything. And it's all really professionally done. It looks wonderful. So definitely, if you want to get into the fashion business, and so far all you've had is Damien Fate templates to work with, Stop by there, bookmark it, keep coming back. We all know how prolific she is. So definitely go back there. None of it's on a website anywhere yet. So I'm hoping that everything will eventually be posted. But right now, you can go in and you can grab the stuff. And making it
So,
easy.
so, so, so Maria, this means that what's currently there does not include DAE files.
No.
So if you wanted to take something and use it as a jumping off point to
for
to
Blender
do a
stuff. Yeah, I
yeah.
wouldn't. Yeah, you'd have to export it out of OpenSim, and I don't know how to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
While we're while we're on the mesh subject, I noticed Varda told me just before she came on there, I was just making a mesh. Oh yeah, is this a new interest of yours, Varda? Actually making mesh, or?
Well, I work with a very talented artist. He's from Vietnam, and he makes mesh. And I work with him kind of like on the English side, and I'm the person that people talk to whenever they have a question about something that he makes. So that's where I lie in. And then I help him kind of get things together, like making skin or drawing the skin for him. But everything that he makes directly from his own resources. So it's quite interesting to see something birthed from the beginning in 3ds Max and then done that way, and then the skin actually drawn in Mudbox and then pulled out that way and brought into SL. I see so many meshes that are done, different ways, some nefarious ways.
Yes.
And I've really gotten into it, and I've been exploring it. I'm not just on Second Life, but in different worlds. There's so many worlds out there that have been using it on a constant, regular basis for so long. And when SL used it and it started new, to me it was an old hat thing, because it's like I've been using mesh for years now, but it's nice to see it.
Well, yeah, we've discussed these things a lot. I mean, apart from mesh itself, the the forthcoming Project Sansa, Philips High Fidelity, loads of places on OpenSim, of course. Sort of the mesh is the sort of de facto standard, really, and it's only now, there's almost no reason for nobody not to cope with it. So I did read a couple of articles that said they felt that the fact that mesh was become so popular, and quite naturally a lot of people are working offline to do these things, they sort of thought it was having a detrimental effect on in-world creativity, i.e. people using in-world tools. But, I mean, it swings and roundabouts. Mesh is great for some things, and other things are probably best done the old way. So, but it's certainly a good format to be using for the future, I think.
I think that it's something that you really have to get into and follow and get a hold of, because that's the future. That's the way everything's going to go, especially using Oculus Rift. They're going to want that sort of virtual reality to be so real, and the only way you can get it is through mesh.
Also, for underwear, layering mesh can be tricky. For underlayers, the system clothing works great, but for all the external layers, the mesh looks really good.
Yeah, just rig the mesh and rig the clothing too with the body, and it grows with the body and moves with the body, just like the sliders that you use on Second Life with your regular avatar body, and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
I won't even mention the fact that I acquired an elderly man mesh avatar over on OpenSim during the week, but whenever I wear it, I get my shape changes a bit. My current skin just morphs a bit, but the rest of me is transparent, and I can't figure out what to do. So, I'm playing with the idea of having a suitable mesh avatar. But you'll see that when you see it, I think, and you won't be seeing it here because it's back in the other studio. Okay, how's your noise team, Tara? Or should I get Maria to continue with her?
They're still making a ruckus over there, so
okay, well,
continue.
Okay, so carry on, Maria.
Okay, so last week where we left off, World was offering custom viewers for $125.
Oh yeah.
And this raised a little bit of controversy over the course of the week, because of course the viewer code is open source, And at least one of our readers, one of the developers, in fact, of Firestorm, was upset that somebody was selling them. So I want to make it clear that nobody is actually selling the viewer itself. The viewer is free. It's given away free by whatever grid that wants it. It's open source, so the custom viewer is also open source. What you're paying for, the $125, goes towards the developer putting in the grid into the system for the viewer and recompiling the viewer. And basically, you're paying for the recompiling time. You're not paying for software. So, but that said, I also have some email addresses from some other Firestorm developers who are also willing to do custom work. I'll be following up with them this week to show exactly, what kind of work do they do. And maybe if I have their permission, I'll write about it on Hypergrid Business. They will now. They also said that they will support if there's a new version of the viewer comes out. They will get you an update for free. But this is Aviworlds. They have a history of starting projects and then not following through. So I would. So if I was getting a viewer made, I personally would not count on that. On that option being available forever for the future, of having them do the updates.
We've had Jessica and we've had Melanie and I think Krista, various people on this show at different times, talk about the idea of plugins like a modular system for the viewer. And what you cite about the complaints about this customization, I mean, I can go into Opera or Firefox, the web browsers, and I can go to add-ons, I can download skins. Some of them are free, but some of them charge. So
Right.
I am, it's still Firefox, it's still free, but I may actually pay add-on money to get a particular skin, which I counts as a customization. And I suspect as the metaverse and OpenSim develops, we may actually have some grids or some viewers that actually use kind of plug-in modules, and the plugins themselves will be actually plugins that people sell to plug into what is otherwise an open system. So
that would be nice. Under GPL, the viewer is licensed as GPL, which is a very, very contagious license. It's an open source license, and everything it touches becomes open source as well. So you have to be really careful with how separate the plugins are. With OpenSim, you can make a version of OpenSim and sell it directly because it has a different license. The BSD license that OpenSim has is very business friendly. And we've already had custom versions of OpenSim sold by IBM and by Reaction Grid for thousands of dollars each to enterprise customers. And these were packaged, customized, hardened versions of OpenSim specifically for corporations. So that's something you can do with OpenSim already. It's a little trickier with a viewer because of the license. But again, you're paying for the development time, and the viewer that results is still free and open source. It's just pre-configured to start on your grid instead of on OS Grid. Eventually, you are right. We're going to have it as a feature in a viewer. So you click on a URL in your browser, and it takes you straight to the grid's login page, and everything is automatically configured for you. But we don't have that yet.
So, I mean, we can basically think of the viewer as a product that happens to be free, whereas the customization is a service, which may be charged for on top of it.
Exactly.
Basically. That's what it is. Yeah.
If you remember, for example, a company paid for NPC code to be developed, and they paid Justin a bounty to do this work, and now the NPC code is in OpenSim and available to everybody. So you can kind of look at the custom viewer the same way. It's a little bit of custom development. The code, the viewer, is available to everybody. and it's just a useful customization that's being offered, and that makes it easy for grids, especially school grids and company grids that need something like this for people to log into their grid, and of course commercial grids. Again, you have to keep it open source because of the GPL license.
Yeah.
But that's not usually a problem because, who really cares? You know, so
Yeah.
your grid's on the list. Yeah, that's the only difference.
Okay.
So that's what's happening there. Now, AviWorlds has hired a developer, Quill Littlefeather, to do this. And he's been doing other stuff as well that AviWorlds has been paying for, which is really nice of them. They have released some code to the OpenSim community to improve some things. They what are they doing right now? Oh, a prim-to-prim communications via email. So the same way that it works in Second Life, it will work in OpenSim, which is pretty cool. And it will work between different regions on the same grid, or between prims on different grids even. So that's cool, and they're going to be donating it both as a module and to the OpenSim community as well. So nice job. Thank you for doing that. And they've also filed a couple of bug fixes as well. So I'm very happy to see that.
Great.
All right. So I looked at the fastest growing communities again this summer. Adult Metaverse gained the most.
They always do. That's not news.
They always do. So it's been slowly gaining on OpenSim Virtual, but OpenSim Virtual is still comfortably in the lead with more than 1,500 users, and Adult Metaverse is in second place with 866. What that means is that if you want to market something to OpenSim, that is where you should start. So start with OpenSim Virtual, start with the Adult Metaverse. If you have an event, that's where you should be telling people about it. All right. I don't know if I mentioned this last week. I did a roundup of 10 virtual reality headsets for under $10.
Oh yeah.
And I ordered the Google Cardboard version 2. I ordered it from Amazon, so I paid just over $10 for it, not from AliExpress where it would have been $8. And I got a chance to compare it with an old V1 Google Cardboard. Now that I have both, and the new one V2 is bigger, and it's flatter, so you're closer to the phone, which gives you a bigger field of view, so it's a little more immersive. But the sides aren't as deep, so there's more light comes in from the sides. But it's much easier to set up. With the old one, you have to do a little bit of folding and a little bit of ripping. With the new one, it just folds in one motion and it's there. So that was really cool. You don't have to stick anything in. Everything's already pre-stuck and pre-made. All you do is just flip it around and you're in business. So I strongly recommend that people buying a Google Cardboard start right out with the version 2. It works for bigger phones, and it's a lot easier to get going with it. Okay, so other news. We had a little story from somebody who does building, about how he's using virtual reality to market like house extensions before he even begins building, to let customers see what it's going to look like. So that's pretty cool. I love seeing it actually being put to work. A company called LunaPi won the Big Data Visualization Challenge, getting 20,000 bucks from Epic Games and the Unreal Engine 4. And this is a way of using 3D for visualizing data. So instead of a flat screen, you have in 3 dimensions. But of course, we don't just have 3 dimensions. We actually have 4 dimensions in virtual reality. We have the regular 3 dimensions plus time, because this data can also move around. So that's very cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with data in 3D, because we're probably going to be evolving some kind of metaphors for how to process, how to deal data, how to visualize data, how to manipulate data. And we haven't really zeroed in on anything specific yet, but I'm sure we will. And I see that I misspelled Luna as Lupi. I'll fix that. More companies are getting into the 3D camera space. Nokia announced their Ozo camera, which looks kind of cool. It looks a lot like the camera that just finished its Kickstarter. What camera was that?
I know the one. That little
The Sphericam.
Yeah.
So they got 460,000. Their Kickstarter originally meant to have about 150,000, and it's about the size of a tennis ball. And it's really cool. So this is a tennis ball sized camera with lenses sticking out in all different directions. You can put it up on a stick. You can hold it over your head. You can attach it to your helmet, like a GoPro. You can hang it from your dog's collar
and
have a dog
strap
for you.
Strap it to a drone.
Strap it to a drone. Oh, all sorts of fun stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
And it films in 360 video, which you can upload to YouTube. And once something is in 360 video, you can either watch it as a regular video where you can move around with a mouse and look in different directions, or you can put on your Google Cardboard headset, which you just ordered for less than $10, and then you're actually inside of it and you can look around with your head and you're inside this video, which is also really cool. Okay, another Kickstarter, Alt Space VR. This is not a Kickstarter; it's just regular funding. They got 10 million for social VR. I've talked about Alt Space VR before. They use the Oculus Rift and the Kinect or Leap Motion for gestures, and they give you an avatar inside a social space where you can hang out with other people and watch like movies together and talk with each other. So it's a social chat hangout kind of platform.
That actually is a good sign, really, isn't it? Got more in common with the virtual worlds we're used to, which are very much community social.
Yeah,
platforms.
Except you can't build the world from inside. You have to just use whatever the company gives you. And when I tried it out, very little in the way of avatar customization. They said they're working on it. But you can watch a movie together or a football game together, or do a business presentation. The interesting thing for me about Alt Space VR was the way they handled motion. They used click to move instead of walking for motion, which for me totally eliminated nausea. I spent an hour in the environment, getting a tour of it, talking with their CEO, who is, somewhere else, and I did not feel queasy at all, because, I turn my head and I see in different directions. That's fine. And then if I want to move somewhere else, I just click on the ground to wherever I want to go, and I'm there. And so there's no motion in between. So I'm sitting down and my avatar is moving, and that disconnects, creates motion sickness.
Yeah.
You didn't have that. So that's the big innovative thing they did. I really recommend other people do the same.
Actually, the Firestorm and Second Life viewers have that facility if you set it in preferences.
Exactly.
And it actually, my habit is to double click and just literally teleport to where I want to go. But For a while, I was actually using the click to move. It actually ended up disabling something else, which you also click on. But you're right, because you just focused on where you wanted to walk to and let the environment do the rest for you.
Yep.
So if I can just intersperse here.
Yeah.
And I think I have a gap in noise.
Oh, wonderful.
Well, not much of one. On the alt space business, two things that I thought were noteworthy, and this is actually from Hamlet's little article about it. First off, a significant difference compared with OpenSim or Second Life or Project Sansar is alt space is viewing their environments as temporary. And they are not looking to build a persistent world. So in other words, and that I think is a significant difference. And the other thought was interesting is one of their lead investors is Tencent, which suggests the Chinese internet giant is hoping to have its own virtual reality product for the China market out of this. So.
Yeah. It's a scene-based world, which pretty much everything except OpenSim and Second Life is scene-based. So you create a scene which is as big as your computer can hold or your server can hold. And if you want to go to a different scene, you teleport to the other scene. And there's no map. There's no common geography that everybody shares. So if you can have multiple copies of the same scene. You can have scenes turn on and turn off as they're needed. These are purely virtual spaces that only, like you said, exist temporarily. You could reverse engineer into something that's a coherent map by having the walls between two scenes be like a teleport wall. So you feel like you're walking from one scene to the next. You're actually teleporting from one scene to the next. And if you're very careful about how you arrange the geography, you could create something that's like a conference center or something like that, where people have an idea of where everything is in relation to each other. But for the most part, nobody I've seen has done that. And the scenes are all connected to each other randomly. So you never have a coherent picture of where you are.
That's sort of I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I say that sort of reminds me of IMVU a little bit, because that's a scene-based world.
Exactly. I mean, everything else is scene-based except OpenSim and Second Life. So I personally like having a fixed geography because it feels more like a real place. Whereas these scenes feel like little islands of reality just floating by themselves, little bubbles of little mini universes.
I think a lot will match. I'm curious to hear Varda's thoughts on this, but I think a lot depends on size too. I mean, I know that over on the Canadian grid at our studios, there's 4 regions. And to the south and the west, there's just void sims. But I have a few devices where you appear to be walking into the void sim, and you are actually teleported somewhere else. And I think and obviously the landscape, of course, at the edge of the sim looks like it's looking out into the void sim. So it actually sort of seems fairly seamless, and you teleport. And I know that other enterprises like Vast Park, for example, were always the same way. It looked like you were in something like Second Life, but then if you wanted to go to a new location, you either went back to a hub and then a new location, or you could teleport to a new location. But it wasn't a teleport; it was actually a standard URL that took you to a new URL, basically. Right. And I think there is an argument that at some point, if individual venues are actually big enough, take a small grid on the hypergrid. That, in a way, is just a big scene, and it may not actually be that big, but you can jump in and out of it and go to somewhere else. Now, I agree with you. I love the idea of walking around a vast space and having it move from one environment into another. But when things are only a teleport away, Sometimes you could walk, but you just don't. You could fly, but you don't. You just teleport. So it might not be as important as it seems in the future. I think the main thing is that you keep the immersion and
Right.
the feel of it rather than the mechanics of a
I,
fast.
I guess my thought is that I think it depends upon what it is. If you consider, say, for example, exploring a city or a park setting with multiple different things, then the ability to, continue walking until you've walked as far as you care to is part of the immersion. Whereas if you're going to a club to hear a concert, it is not very meaningful to be able to walk off well outside of the concert venue. It doesn't occur to you,
Right.
But I'm just thinking about how over the years, one of the things that I have done kind of routinely when I've been visiting a new virtual environment, not an open sim or Second Life based, but thinking of some of the others that have come and gone.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I have done quite persistently is I'll start walking and see how far I can go before I run into the wall.
Yeah.
And I haven't, I hadn't really ever thought about it, but it's just one of those things that if I'm in a setting that looks like I'm outdoors, how far can I go? Can I get up that mountain? Can I get down this valley? And it's just the way my head works on that stuff.
Given, interestingly, I don't know whether anybody's done this, but given the fact that in virtual worlds, not possible in real life, etc., different physics laws apply, something like, is it Discworld, where the whole thing is inside a giant bubble, so you can actually walk for an ever and ever like you're on a planet, but on the other hand, it isn't infinite. You can
you're thinking of Ringworld.
Ringworld, that's the one.
Ringworld,
yeah. Discworld is a flat plate that's on the back of 4 elephants, which are riding on the back of a turtle. The Great
and it's turtles all the way down.
That's not the one.
No, it's just one turtle.
The one, sorry,
Discworld is just one turtle.
Fair enough. Sorry, the one I'm thinking of is actually like an alien planet, except that it's a shell and everything's on the inside instead of the outside, and the sun, the kind of sun, is in the middle.
Yeah, it's like a giant lamp in the middle.
But if you are modeling a virtual space, and apply those physical laws, such as they are, then you would actually have a finite space that also maintains the integrity of continuous landscape.
Yep.
Well, I've had a lot of experience just going from world to world, probably like Maria does, but I'm not as well versed as she is in a lot of the business aspects of it. I'm more of an explorer. And I've actually sat down and talked to a few people about this because I was interested in why in the world wouldn't anybody want to be on Second Life? Because in Second Life, you can walk, you can run, you can fly. And one person told me, well, I have a disability and I can barely move. So for being in a scene-based world where I just hop nodes like IMView, it's a lot easier for me to communicate and talk to people. Even though they still have to type, they don't have to try to navigate the controls in Second Life, which some people think are too difficult to do. And some people just like the mesh, just being completely immersed in a world that's complete mesh. They don't want to deal with anything that has to do with Second Life, like sculpts, interestingly enough. And they don't like the avatars in Second Life, so they go to places like Twinity or there. Even I've been on there where that just is like a round circle that you can drive completely around. And I think it's just everybody's preference.
Right. Well, nobody goes to Twinity or there. So Twinity is almost completely dead. So that hasn't worked out well for them. But IMVU seems to be doing okay. And they've got a strong focus on one thing that they do, and they do it extremely well. So and I think that for business or school campuses, like, you don't really necessarily want to have neighbors for your business campus, so you don't care that there's no physical landscape to walk between your corporate headquarters and somebody else's corporate headquarters. But if you have a retail, like a small retail shop, you do want to be around other retailers. You do want to be on a mall because you want to be in a place where you do get foot traffic. So I think a lot of
Tara,
it depends on the application. Yeah.
I was actually thinking of that when Tara mentioned the idea of venues, because I've actually come across a lot of venues, particularly in Second Life, that actually the venue itself is deliberately in the middle of a mall. You know, they set up the venue, then they set up a mall around it, and while you're there, they try to get you to go shopping.
Right. Right.
You know, so it's not always just a venue, but
Okay.
yeah, no, point taken, point taken. Everybody
Yeah.
plans it
So
differently, really.
yeah. So different things call for different kinds of environments. For me, in particular, what I don't like about the scene-based worlds is that when you need to have multiple scenes to create an environment, for example, you have a conference center. So you have an outdoor space, and an indoor registration area, and then breakout rooms. Nothing is proportional. Everything's bigger on the inside than the outside. The geography makes no sense. It makes me dizzy. I can't figure out how the doors connect to each other because they can't possibly fit that way. And that drives me nuts.
It's funny. I've been building this little old town area on the Metal Spaces, and you know, I got this lovely quirky, and a couple of them are mesh too, which means only a brim or two for the whole building. You know, quirky little old time houses or cottages and things, and you know, a number of them where I've got to bend down to get through the door, and you know, I've got one plonk, you know, that you can barely stand up in, plonk next to another one where the ceiling's far too high, and people really don't always put all the work you need
Yeah.
into it. But I mean, I think it's just you know, it should be case driven. If you want to build a conference center, don't, for Christ's sake, make a load of individual spaces to make it up. Just figure out the space you need to build your conference center and get yourself an OpenSim grid or something and do it with the space you need and make sure it's all sort of integral to each other.
Please, designers, if you're listening to this, don't make everything like a TARDIS, where it's all like nothing geographically makes sense. It breaks my brain. we have a whole portion of our brain dedicated to three-dimensional spatial awareness. We're very good at that, and it totally breaks that part of our brain when nothing matches. It looks really cool to have a TARDIS, but in practice, it is anyway. Let's move on.
Yeah, move on. Yeah, we don't want to get stuck on one thing. We've got time.
We got the camera. Immersion 215 released its lineup. They're having a conference with nearly 100 sessions about virtual reality. It's really cool. They're in France. If you can go, bring me with you. Several different analysts have released reports about how big they think the virtual reality market will be. They all think it's going to be huge and grow fast, but they all disagree about the numbers. So if you have
I love analysts. I mean, you know, nobody knows what the future is going to be. 22 billion by 2020 is the story.
Yes.
So, and then you get the ones, and I only saw the headline where somebody is saying, our AR is going to overtake VR in 10 years.
Yeah. So nobody knows anything. They're all making it up. The reason for these reports is so that when you go up before you investors, you pick whichever one matches your business model, and you say, look, these smart people think this is the way it's going to happen. Give me money.
Yeah,
exactly.
AR and VR are the same thing. It's just defined by the extent of immersion.
No.
Sorry, I should have said that.
Wait, I'm reaching out and choking you right now.
Okay.
Yes.
But there are
But I did see the coolest AR video. It was called Google Translate versus La Bamba.
Huh?
And it was people were holding up signs with the words from the song La Bamba. And in the foreground, you saw an Android phone, or I guess any phone, pointing at that sign, translating it in real time from Spanish to English, and they also did other languages as well. And it was really cool about how Google Translate works, and that's augmented reality. And we have that now on our cell phones with Google Translate. It's really cool. Museums have that for their smartphone tours.
Mm.
Okay, so
I must admit I was being cynical, but I actually reckon that in the far future, well, maybe not so far future, that with the way we interface changes, it may be that the level from reality to augmentation to full immersion is actually pretty darn seamless. You can visit a place, you can get augmented reality information, and then you could possibly enter the place virtually if you wanted to go that far in. But I mean, it's down the road. It's not an immediate.
It's an issue of presence. With augmented reality, you're present in the physical world and you have add-ons to it.
Yeah.
And in virtual reality, you feel like you're present totally somewhere else.
Yeah, true.
So that's the main dividing line there. Okay, so speaking of being present in another world, I attended, so to speak, quotation marks, the OnePlus 2 phone launch.
That's the one I was asking about. Great.
Now,
yeah.
This is the first phone launch I've ever been to because I really don't care. Why would I sit through an hour presentation about some new phone that I'm never going to buy? But I went to this one because it's really cool. They filmed it in 360 video. So you put on your headset, you walked in, and they took you through their corporate headquarters. They introduced you to their CEO. You hung around this break room with a bunch of users talking about how they were using their phones. You walked into the employee area with people sitting at their desks, and it was all staged. It was all hokey, but it was so intimate. They look you straight in the eyes, and they talk to you, and they take you places. It was such an intimate experience. It was freaky.
I know it met. I didn't actually see it, although I saw little extras from it. But I mean, I was reading up on that, and it really did go down well. That's more or less the consensus. Everybody was saying it was gripping, because it was so different. And
anyway, it's on YouTube now. So if you have a Google headset, you can just put it on and go through that. Not because I want you to run out and buy this telephone, OnePlus 2 telephone, because I really don't care, but to see an example of extremely successful VR marketing. So they sent out 30,000 headsets to go with this. And of course, the 1.5 million other people who already have headsets can watch it. And then anybody can watch it on 360 video. And it was just such a personal experience. It was really dramatically different from any other kind of product launch I've ever seen. You did feel like these people were talking to you personally. The eye contact in particular, it was to me, in my memory, the way my brain stored it, it stores as something that actually happened to me personally.
Oh, wow.
So check it out. If you're a marketer, check it out. See how they did that. It certainly wasn't particularly super smooth or polished. Like I said, it was kind of hokey. They had several staged moments in there that were like, yeah, right, you roll your eyes. But it really, it was so engrossing. Yeah, I sat through the whole thing. It really pulled you in. So
Right.
I really recommend that for anybody who's thinking of what that's going to be like. So, I mentioned earlier the hypergrid content going to the mall on DigiWorlds and bringing stuff back. So there was a little bug. Mel has talked about it, where you have to wear things in order to get them back to your home grid. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So the background noise just disappeared, and I was like, wait a second, what happened there? So this spring, this bug was reported to Mantis, and Diva Canto, Krista Lopez herself, the inventor of the hypergrid, stepped in to fix this. And in order for this to work, both grids have to have the fix. The grid you're taking the content from and the grid you're taking the content to. ZetaMax is going to be upgrading all their grids. Dreamland Metaverse has already upgraded all of theirs. For everybody else who doesn't have a professional hosting company running their grid, you probably should wait until the fix is in mainline OpenSim, which is going to be whenever the next release comes out. We don't know when yet. Kitely also had some content export issues. Theirs were related to the way they do export permissions. Whether it's copy and transfer or not, that determines whether it can travel to other grids. And by default, if you bring something from another grid, regardless of what permissions it has, it can travel because you already got it from some other grid. So whatever it is, it's meant to travel. The problem was if somebody had uploaded the same content previously under different permissions, then so somebody brought in the same copy of the same content, which was usually like Linda Kelly content. Whatever happened first took precedence. So if somebody uploaded it first, then nobody could take it off world. So they fixed that. So that's no longer an issue. It doesn't look like a bug that would come up a lot, but anyway, they fixed it.
So in other words, if I'm actually kind of surprised by that because I would have assumed that two separate uploads of the same thing from an external source would result in different UIDs.
Well, apparently they do deduplication, so that if it's the same item, they store it in the same place. So, and if it's a non-export item, then the new copy that's brought in also becomes non-export. So they fixed that, and that was so it's now easier to travel with stuff if you live on Kitely. If you wanted to go to British Columbia, there's a nice little virtual tour of it out there, which made me really, really queasy because of the stupid camera work. 1+2 did a great job with camera work. Slow movement, it did not make me queasy. With the British Columbia people, 1 minute you're sitting in a boat, the next you're flying up in the air above it, the next you're barreling along.
Okay, let's move on because I realized we're past the hour.
And that's
somehow
perfect timing because I was done.
Yes, I figured you were because I was looking at all your posts and that seems to be the last one. So, okay, Varda.
Yeah.
We found you out here. Now I know. I mean, I know you're in IMV. IMVU a fair bit, but you get around too. I mean, your show when it appears, we'll come to that in a while. Virtual Voice has always had a sort of bit of a compilation of all sorts of worlds. Are you? Do you get around the open sims, the hypergrid very much? Or
yes, I do. I travel every time I hear of a new world. I try to go and check it out to see what it's about, to see how many members are there, to see how much population is actually online at the time. And it's been kind of slow. And I haven't really seen a whole lot of activity going on everywhere. It's been pretty kind of quiet and laid back. And I just heard that there's a new world that just opened. And I'm excited to check that out. I haven't got the name of it yet. I have to, actually, the person I'm supposed to talk to, I'm going to talk to tonight to go check it out. But
a new platform or a new world on the hypergrid?
A new platform.
Oh, right. Okay.
So, yeah, some new goodies for me to check out to see what that's like, but I haven't really seen a whole lot of activity, and I've tried to go to every place I can think of. It's been kind of quiet. I've had the only kind of uproar has been stuff that's been going on in SL, of course, with Oculus Rift, and they've been talking about that, and then IMVU with the way that they've been getting the creators all riled up, but
Yes, and now I was going to ask you about that because you IM me. It's actually quite a while ago now, saying that I think you were offering to come on to us about that, but you were also doing you were doing some research, weren't you, which involved I guess copy bots
Yeah.
and well certainly IMVU was a separate thing, wasn't it? What did they do exactly? They basically took something away from all their customers in one foul swoop, didn't they?
Well, what they did is they've changed the way that the income is being made now. Well, before you could get credits and you could go to some place like First Meta, like you used to be able to do in SL, and trade your credits in there, buy Lindens, come to SL, or trade your credits for money. And they've taken that option completely out, got rid of all of the credit resellers there were. Everybody who was selling credits just got cut off, and they're making you buy the credits directly from them at their price, which is pretty high. So a lot of creators have dropped.
This sounds a bit familiar because something we've been talking about in recent weeks is the fact that Linden Labs are basically cutting off all the sort of third-party services that deal with money. Sort of thing, you've got to, you can't have. They don't want middlemen. Basically, they want to make you deal with Linden Labs, directly for everything.
Yes,
But
exactly.
we've actually been saying that obviously they don't want their precious lindens filtering out to other worlds or something, but we've actually said that, they're putting themselves at a disadvantage, one would have thought, because people in foreign countries, for example, can't always deal with Lindenab easily. So they actually gain by, having these middlemen, who can offer local currency and things.
Well, because people would be going from IMVU to SL, and there's actually been a kind of an exodus of people that have left completely, have left IMVU for that reason alone, and
Right.
have gone on to different virtual worlds. And but you're always going to have that population, and there's small population. I mean, most of the time you can go on. There's 89,000 on at one time, 89,000 people, which is small compared to SL, I would think, online at one point. So
80, 89,000
89,000, yeah.
concurrently.
Usually on
I
a given
think
night.
I'm not sure. I think that competes with SL.
That's at or above what Second Life tends to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a while that Second Life was running in the 70s and 80s, but it's been back. It's been like, I see 50, 60, 45.
Yeah, and I've been expecting to see a huge drop, and I really haven't. So I think that just because of the way that the platform is and the way that the people you can are hungry for that type of platform, they don't want
Mm.
to change. That they've kind of got a closed market. Whereas Second Life people can go to different worlds. There's really not a second IMVU to go to.
Mm.
So they've kind of got a captive audience.
It is a point because, keen as I am on the hypergrid and, interconnected open sim worlds, basically, there is so much similarity in terms of the viewers, the interface, the behaviors and things. Under the surface, it's very different, but on the surface, you feel like you're in familiar territory. You just feel like you're in an open, interconnected space rather than in a giant corporate land. But on the surface, it sort of behaves similar. So in Canada, where our headquarters are now, they're a Great Canadian Grid. That is one of the grids. There are others that really seem to be booming, and it surprised me because I thought it was just the prices and things like that that were attracting people, but who were already familiar with the hypergrid. But I actually discovered, monitoring the chatting world, that people are coming straight there from Second Life and they don't even know what the hypergrid is. All they know is that this is like Canada's Second Life. It's quite funny because, people in chat all the while say, what do you mean I can get it at so and so? And you give them a grid name and a location and they don't know what you're talking about. They say, there's no region called that. And I said, no, it's on there. You've got the hyper jump. But to me, it does seem like there is quite a big move. Maybe it's because I'm there, but there's certainly more of a population now than there ever used to be on quite a few of the grids. And everything being interconnected, people jump around. We have a weekly Hypergrid Safari, which is kind of a club where we go to about 4 or 5 different destinations every Wednesday. Sometimes it'd be just somewhere to see, sometimes it'd be a crazy arty thing, sometimes it'd be a concert. There never seems to run out of things to put on the agenda. So, but obviously, Second Life remains that big high street, as it were, where if you want to be seen by the most avatars in one place, you do it in Second Life. If you want a big store, it's probably going to be here.
Yeah.
Even if you do your manufacturing, as it were, out on the hypergrid or even on your own computer, and then upload it.
And I think until somebody comes out with something so completely different that really makes it worthwhile to move themselves off of it, it's not going to be something that's going to die out at any time soon. And it's the same thing where you have the copybot issue. You have it here, you have it there too on the grids like IMVU, where they're breaking right into the viewer itself and ripping the textures right out of the catalog.
Yeah.
And there's nothing they can do to stop it. And it's just very disheartening.
Presumably all the assets are they're hardwired into the viewer, are they, with IMVU? So literally somebody can hack their way in, they can get hold of everything.
Yes, they can take all of the mesh that you've made and you created, and it's been like really rampant where they just start up a shop with everybody's mesh, and then right away they work on tiers where you become a pro. And if you're a pro, you get all this free advertising. You get moved up to the front of the catalog when you reach these certain levels. And unfortunately, there's a lot of nefarious activity going on in that department.
Oh dear. So I don't know. Crooks are crooks, aren't they? If they can make money out of it, then there's always going to be somebody there doing it. I mean, I think the usual remedy for these practices is to make it just to have a system that is just not cost effective to undercut or sort of go under. But it seems everybody's plagued with this. Are you in your snooping around and new platforms and everything? What are you? I don't think we've spoken to you since either the advent of high fidelity going into at least public alpha now, or of course all the stories we're hearing about Project Sansar. Have you got any thoughts on those, or any experience on those for that matter?
None as of yet. I try to go in and I go in as just anybody else, so I get the same experience as anybody else would walking right in through the door. So I haven't had anything where anybody's come up and said, "Hey, check this new thing out."
Yes.
I've heard of some things coming up, but I can't talk about it. So.
Yeah, fair enough. Nothing I like more than is some contact getting onto me on Skype and saying, "I'm launching a new platform. Want to come and I want to show it you." That's what I like. That hasn't happened for a while actually, but I mean, I can remember a lot of Tara especially has been with me on visits to. You can't even remember the platforms now. There was a dating one that was quite fun. And things.
There was the one that was going to be the knockoff for creating mirror environments.
That was Twinity.
No. It was a Twinity like thing. This is going back about the same time Twinity was happening, but this was it was a completely different model. They were on the show several times.
Are you thinking of Mikazu's project?
The one where,
that scared me. They made a photorealistic avatar of me, but you couldn't see yourself. You could only see your sort of eye contact view. You could see everybody else except yourself.
Yeah, no, but I mean the environment. The place I'm thinking of was that what they were working on was an environment that was a lookalike. So in other words, it was virtual New York, it was virtual Seattle, it was and they were using map-based stuff to generate it.
Yeah,
and they never got off the ground.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. It was they were using open source mapping software, so they didn't have to deal with Google and stuff like that. But I mean, what actually happened is a French TV company came in World to photograph it, and they did a feature on French. You know, it was a French lifestyle program, I think. And I actually, I got sent a copy of the video that the French TV transmitted, and it was the first time I'd ever actually seen the full frontal view of this avatar. And it was just like me, and I didn't like it at all. You know, it had my real face, it had my real anatomy. I suddenly thought, I'm not sure I do want an avatar that looks really exactly like me. Thank you. But yes, I mean, you know, there's the
Yeah, I
other
think you have to be about 25 and buff
yeah.
to want an avatar that's a spitting image of your RL self.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, actually, even at 25, I don't know where it was suited. It's the nose, you know. It just doesn't look right when it's on screen. But anyway, okay, enough of that. And of course, yeah, I mean, and of course, there's this other new platform we've been hearing about. Well, I heard about in terms of the money they raised, which is a phenomenal amount, but not since. They're based in the UK. They're called Improbable.
Oh yeah, improbable. Yeah.
They used to they're a whole team. They've been at it for 5 years at Cambridge, and now they've just gone sort of independent in their own right in London somewhere, and they've got huge backing. But I don't really think that's a platform. It's you know, they're working on the idea of protocols on which platforms can run and connect. So you know, it's a different level of stuff, really. Anyway, let's move on. Varda, let's get back to a few other things that you've been up to. There was a new edition of Virtual Voice fairly recently, wasn't there? But it's not regular at the moment.
Right. I did one in the summer, and I was talking mainly about the copybot issues, and I talked to a couple of coders, and they explained it to me how the copybotting actually works, and how it kind of opened my eyes to what is really going on Second Life. And it, I don't know, it kind of shook me up a little bit because I didn't realize how easy it was. I thought it was a lot harder, but and then I went on IMVU and just looked around there and talked to a few people. But the show basically was mostly about that. I wanted to kind of touch on that, how it was affecting a lot of different platforms. And either way you look at it, it's just not good. You know, and there has to be a better way to go about stopping these people from doing these things. And, you know, it doesn't matter what type of platform it is, whether it's for business or whether it's for pleasure. Taking someone else's hard-earned work and selling it as your own is thievery. And I think they should be a lot harder on the people than they are.
It is difficult. I mean, especially if it comes to somewhere like Second Life, where you think they've got all these no copy, no transfer protocols and stuff in place. I mean, on OpenSim, there is something we've noticed more recently, is that because it's now easy to download something like Sim on the Stick, you can actually launch a grid, your private grid, on your own computer. And you can hypergrid enable it so you can travel from your own grid around the hypergrid. But of course, you are the total owner of anything you've got on your own computer. Now, it doesn't technically allow you to wander hypergrid out from your own computer and nick everything. But what it does mean, if you bring things back to your own computer, however you got them, and save things that you've got on your own computer as OAR files or AR inventory files, then they can be re-uploaded somewhere, and they suddenly all appear as your name is suddenly the creator, which to me, you know, is funny. Now, you know, for the general user, they're not going to go into that kind of depth, thank goodness. But of course, there are people out there, players that we often have cause to talk about. Fortunately, I think the suspect ones are fairly limited. You know, where people actually start up grids on the basis that everything that's brought into that grid they can save and take ownership of. But that isn't the end user so much. They might be a bit like end users, but they're just sort of starting a grid so that they can get all this stuff and take ownership of it, and then redeploy it again somewhere else later. So there are big holes in this sort of system. My belief really is that, you know, you just do your best to make it not cost effective for these sort of crooks and things. You know, keep stuff cheap, share stuff, have it free. I mean, you know, there are. You know, there are also serious marketplaces out there, but I mean, if you know, if I go to the Kitely market, for example, and it's going to cost me, say, $100 to buy this spanking new, you know, state-of-the-art virtual mesh, you know, mansion, probably wouldn't be that much, but immediately somebody's going to think, oh God, well, I've got to go and get a copy of that so that I can make copies of it and sell those copies because at $100 a pot, it's cost effective for them to do it. So, you know, there are endless problems here. But do you really think the copyright problem in Second Life itself, which of course is theoretically all controlled by Linden, is actually a very serious problem proportionately?
I really, really do. I think it's just as bad as the other grid. And I've heard of stories, and this is a true story, that I had met with this lovely couple who was a creator, and they did sculpts, and they did full perm sculpts.
Mm.
And this was their livelihood. This is how they made their living. And someone decided that they were going to take all their sculpts, copy it, and put it into their shop right after they did it. So he would go get their sculpts somehow, you know, however they do it, which I won't go into explaining how it's done.
Mm.
Take it, put it into their shop, and market cheaper. So basically, he was trying to run these people out of business.
Yeah.
And, you know, for someone that's their livelihood, that's the worst thing that can happen. That's like someone, you know, in your job, doing your job for you and trying to push you out of your position.
Yeah. Marketing stolen goods, in effect. I mean, there is the argument.
You know, there's an irony in that, though. And the irony is, if someone is doing that and they're focusing on a single creator to the point where they push that person, they cause that person to stop making stuff, guess what? They've just dried up their supply.
I was just about to say exactly, I was about to say exactly the same thing because, you know, it is self-defeating in the long run. I mean, I suppose the danger is that somebody who has these techniques, they bankrupt one person and they move on to the next and the next and the next. And admittedly, when they've all dried up and gone away, the guy's got no supply anymore. But I mean, it's opportunism, and you know, sort of just because we're in a virtual world and everything, I don't think, you know, that people do not always take seriously, you know, what they're doing, you know, the creative work that has gone into something. I've just nicked a mesh jacket. They don't think how long it might have taken an individual to have actually made that mesh jacket, why they made it, and stuff like that. They just think, oh, I want that jacket, I'll have it, you know. I don't know. It's a bit of an endless problem, but I don't know. So, what else, Varda? I've got to move back to Tara too because she had a few things. Actually, Tara, let's switch back to you quickly because your noise.
It's gotten quiet here.
It's gotten quiet here. Well, let's take advantage of the quiet.
The blower apparently has done what it needed to do and has been mercifully put out of my misery. Well, I just had a couple other items to mention, particularly since we're in Second Life. Magellan Linden put the moles to work building a theme park on the latest hunk of land discovered in Second Life, but something's gone horribly wrong. Uncover the mystery of a menacing plan and explore 6 exciting regions teeming with dinosaurs and valuable collectibles in PaleoQuest. And no, PaleoQuest is not a quest for nuts, seeds, vegetative matter to harvest and eat, and chasing free-range chickens.
I had to laugh at that because there's a video announcing it out there too. I immediately thought of Joe Builder out on Lost World Grid because his latest thing is a dinosaur thing. In fact, we mentioned it, didn't we, the other week? You know, he's got this dinosaur that eats other avatars. You know, it's an NPC, a non-player character, which of course we can make on OpenSim.
Yeah, well, this is a full built, you know, immersive game theme park, etc., and basically uncover a wealth of hidden tools and items, etc. Fortune may await those who, with bravery and determination, You can redeem your findings for prizes in Linden dollars. And I loved and I love the disclaimer that was at the very bottom of the article. Quote, and with an asterisk, provided on a commercially reasonable, as is and as available basis without warranties or conditions of any kind. Linden Lab does not ensure continuous or error-free access or use or availability of any content, prize, reward, feature, gameplay, or server, and may change, modify, disable, suspend, or remove any such content, prize, reward, feature, gameplay, or server at its sole discretion. I'm sorry, I'm just not going to make it reading the fine print on used vehicles that they run on commercials. But anyway, I had to laugh at that. Anyway, it sounds pretty fun and probably worth checking out. The other item that I had that I just thought I'd mention, now that the blower started again, this is a message. Anyway, is there have been further changes on the marketplace as far as listed content are concerned. The lab has completed the automated migration of all direct delivery items, and the date that the Magic Box items will stop working is August 17th. X Street will be shut down on August 27th. So if you've got stuff using either of those devices still in the marketplace, you need to take steps to download the official viewer. Actually, it's a release viewer that has the Second Life viewer managed marketplace features in it to get your marketplace stuff reorganized appropriately.
All right.
And I think there was, let me see, was there one other thing here that hasn't already been covered? Because we've covered, Maria picked up several of the other items that I had on my list of. I think that's everything other than mentioning today is the kickoff, since our other guest didn't make it, the opening of the 2015 Grand Art and Machinima UWA Challenge, open today, jointly entitled Pursue Impossible.
Indeed.
Opening prize pool in excess of 400,000 lindens.
Wow.
And the deadline, the ultimate closing date for entries is midnight, October 31st, and winners will be announced in December. And obviously the UWA website will give you all the gory details and the particulars on how to enter and formats and what have you. And that's it for me. And I know we're running out of time.
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll go on a bit. Yes, of course, I'm one of the judges on that too. So I did actually see the trailer movie that's been made for that earlier today. I watched it all the way through, and it's not a machinima at all. It's actually a really nice RL thing about pursuing impossible, or whatever it is. So it's a really nice trailer, but it doesn't actually indicate arts or machinima in it, which I thought was odd. But hopefully we'll get JJ back another week. Maybe I can talk him into coming out onto the hypergrid to be on one of our main shows. Right. Now, if you want more stuff about Second Life, you can follow my other Twitter stream, which is twitter.com/malburns_writer, which of course is my Second Life avatar name. And I post a lot of arts, destinations, and endless videos that we're not running on particular channels at the moment there daily. I seem to be posting about 20 videos a day at the moment. Highlights, of course, there was the latest edition of Happy Hunting just went up. What else? Well, just an assortment of... Spy versus Spy was back as well with the new machinima, which was... quite interesting, although I forget its name. I'm scrolling down my list here just to come up with. Trouble is, this is a bloody long list. Recommendations. Passion Fruit Island sounds like a rather nice destination, and in Second Life, again, you can find the links to the blogs about these via that feed I just gave you. Good YouTube film called The Charmed District. Exploring on Wednesdays, went to a place called Warm Springs. Again, when I recommend places, it's usually because I've seen the photographs or they just look good, if you know what I mean. I'm a big I like landscapes and things like that. So when I see destinations that I think just look like somewhere to go and get immersed in, those are the ones that click with me, rather than the sort of big events. There was a YouTube on SL Machinima Summer Festival 2015 highlights. It hasn't been judged or whatever they do yet. It's simply promotional highlights for this festival. This is actually a Japanese festival. So most of the stuff is in Japanese, but it does make a bit of a change from a lot of the English language stuff that we see day in and day out. Where are we now? Yeah. Inara Pay has the story of a Tudor love story in Second Life. I believe this involves it might be Henry VIII and various other things like that. It's actually it's a storytelling thing, but it's also historical. And highly recommended. A lot of other bloggers have actually covered this as well. There is one of those, if you go to issue.com, I usually embed them. There's a new sort of glossy magazine about Second Life arts and a bit of OpenSim too, called Winlight. It's rather unique name for a magazine there. But unlike a lot of the fashion glosses and stuff like that, this is really to do with destinations and arts, and it's rather nice. But they've opened up today, in fact, the Winlight Art Gallery has opened up, and the formal opening reception is going to be on August the 8th, which is next Saturday, but the Winlight Art Gallery itself has opened today, so you can look that up, and the link's on my feed. What else have we got? I'm just scrolling at high speed up the list here. A new male animation from Vista Animations called The Rock AO. Yes, got to promote them. They give us them free, so got to promote them. Out on the Open Sim, we went on the Hypergrid Safari as usual on Wednesday. Fish and Nightfire usually films quite a load of little clips there, but there's also another Pixel. I forget her name, but there's somebody else on Safari who actually does a live stream of the Safari while we're on it. The results are never too guaranteed because of the nature of some of the venues we end up at, but she live streams while we're doing it. But Fuchsia did put up a clip from Echo Starship at Wizard's Retreat, which is one of the places we went on Wednesday. It was a full hour-long contest. Roxy Geller, Fuchsia Nightfire, and a performer, ambient music performer called Echo Starship, all collaborated. So it was a sort of complete audio-visual haywire production, nice ambient music, and Fuchsia going completely berserk with her animations. It reminded me of Shanghai Fire Sisters and those kind of performances, although somewhat more offbeat, and also, of course, exclusively on OpenSim. Where are we? Silent Killer feature machinima that's come out. Anna McMillan, who I'd been hoping would be here today, but she maybe forgot it was the first of the month because it's actually only the first day of it. She posts for the LEA, but also on her own blog at onamcmillan.wordpress.com. Have a seat, enjoy the art and high water in Second Life. Again, you've only got to look at some of the photos that accompany these blogs to realise they're pretty must-sees by the look of it. Non-profit comments we did. Tara's already mentioned Paleo Quest, if that's how you pronounce it. Oh, now here's another one that Anarape's got a good post on. There seems to be a thing about history at the moment. A new region's open called Luxembourg 1867, which means just that. It's the Principality of Luxembourg in the year 1867, and it's exploring virtual history in Luxembourg, basically, via Second Life. So in our pay at modemworld.me, as it is now, has a link on that. And that's going right up. A nice piece. It was a blog from somebody's journal about Nogard Village. Now, this, I think, is Swedish or something. It's N and then an O with a line through it, RGAARD Village. Again, nice looking place there. Winlight, as well as the glossy magazine Winlight, they have some individual articles up at winlightmagazine.com. Oh my goddess, and the magic within is one of them. And both Tara and I know I don't really have time to do their quests. I think I've missed the last few of them, but Mad P Productions have announced their new one, and it seems really a wee bit different. Mad P Collection sets sail for the high seas with Bandit, and all the photographs they've released, it's not started yet, are actually set on the high seas. Yes, sort of like piratey sort of stuff. So that could be quite an achievement instead of walking around land trying to do stuff.
Yeah, that is different for them.
Yeah, you're going to be on boats on the high seas and presumably searching for different islands and different clues and whatever. So that is looking good. SL Visionary Anywhere, that's an interesting blog name at WordPress.com. You'll never leave Ironwood Hills alive. Yes, Ironwood Hills. If you're into the gothic and sort of horror-y stuff, a good destination there. And racing up the list, a hell of a lot about Paleo Quest, but of course, being a Linden project, you would expect that. Friday Hunt Report, of course, was out on Friday, but it always is. And I mentioned already, Happy Hunting is there. Is out, as it always is. And yes, Pursue the Impossible. You can either go to the University of Western Australia site or karasecondlife.blogspot.com. Had a good roundup of it. And it's, although it's not machinima, if you get a chance to look at the promotional video for that, it's rather cool. Highlights from the Second Life Destination Guide. Well, they can do their thing, I can do mine, basically. The obvious stuff every week. And scrolling up, and I think I've actually reached the top of the list there. So that will do for the the quick summaries, so to speak. And I haven't even had a chance to open Google Plus, but there we go. We are now we're well over our 90 minutes, but well, at least we're not going to be as long as we were last week when we were 2.25 hours or something. But a very good show. So before I wrap up, I'm just going to turn to Varda again. We've got all the rest of the news from Tara. Anything else you've been up to? You've told us about virtual voice and the copybot issues and everything else. Like anything else exciting going on at the moment, Varda, in terms of here in Second Life or out on any of the other platforms?
Well, not really. It's been pretty quiet. Like I said, every summer comes around. I've been working with some role players, and on my next show, we're going to be talking a little bit about role play and on the different platforms and what that's like, because it's so similar. It's crazy.
Yes.
And it's easy for one person to go from one to the other. And then we were also going to be talking to some people about how virtual worlds has helped them with their disabilities. So
oh yeah,
that's something that we're going to be working on too. So that's what I've been working on lately.
Great. Okay, let's give the viewers, I guess the best thing to get, you don't have a blog, do you? We should give them your YouTube name so they can look up the virtual voice. I mean, it's on my Tumblr blog, actually, but you might as well give them your YouTube site while we're at it direct.
Oh, wow, I've never done that before, so...
Oh, well, it's just your username, basically. Is it Varda Silver at YouTube or?
Yeah, it's actually Varda Silver at YouTube.com, and of course now I've been finding out you've been having to sign in with Gmail, which is really strange. Okay, call me. I'm a little bit behind, so whenever I found this out, I was like, really, I have to sign in with Gmail? That's strange, but it is Varda Silver at gmail.com. And you can find my YouTube there under my name, Varda Silver, and find all of the videos and the past shows from there going probably a couple of years back.
Yeah, so you just log into YouTube and then look up the username Varda Silver, and that's the easiest way to do it. And I send them to my Tumblr blog where I've got them too, but since there's about 20 a day, they'd have to scroll down about they have to scroll down about 200 to find it. It would have been posted individually at the time, and then they just accumulate. But I try and get everything up there as like a continuing chronicle of all machinima that comes out of Second Life or OpenSim. So it works, it's just button pressing. But when I actually go to review it, like I did now, I look at the Twitter feed and I think, oh God, there's 50 items from today, 50 from yesterday, and they're all YouTube things I've pressed like on.
Oh wow.
But anyway, it's good to have it there in one place. Okay, so that's wonderful. Well, I look forward to the next show. Look forward to having you on here too. I mean, if I can get it to, you must give me your details to find you on the hypergrid on one of the open sims, so that I can get you over to our main studios on the Canada grid.
Okay.
You can actually hypergrid in from any other hypergrid enabled.
I just created an account on Kitely not too long ago.
Oh, that works. Yes, are you Varda Silver on Kylie?
Varda Silver on Kitely, and I went there for a couple reasons because I believe ISM was going there, which is International Space. I always forget the last part of that. ISM, space something.
Well, it's not station, is it? That would be
no,
ISM. Yes.
it's
machine.
something like that. It has to do with NASA. So yeah. I'm actually a member there, and they told me that they were opening up someplace on Kitely because of the prices here on Second Life. So I can totally understand that, and it's actually really nice over there. I just haven't been on there enough.
It's the same reason that people are. I'm on the Great Canadian Grid, where we got one region, but ended up with a whole load more because the prices are so cheap. And DigiWorlds is a great contender for cheap prices. Third Rock Grid, there's so many of them. I think a lot of more serious projects are just, because it's just as easy to have your own grid and connect it to the hybrid grid. And for a fraction of the price of what SL charge you. And unless you're actually selling something or performing or something that you want to actually get the huge volume of people that are in Second Life, it's just more economical to be out there. But I will get, if you send me in Skype your Kitely avatar name, I will add you to my friends list for other hypergrids so that I can get you over to our place on the Canada grid.
I definitely want to come because it sounds like fun.
Yeah, show you around. I will. Promise. And we must have you back again soon. It's great fun having you here. So very interesting. So I'm just going to go round everybody here, just to prompt them for anything they haven't, they got in their minds from the past week or the coming week that they haven't said so far, as it were. I'll start with Tara. Or maybe she's got the noise again.
No, I just was expecting you to start with Maria.
Oh.
You've broken the pattern, and so I wasn't ready.
Oh, fair enough. Well, nothing like nothing like a bit of change to liven things up.
yeah, without warning, and then you're sitting here and you've got yourself muted, and so you have to look for buttons and do all the things. Well, I pretty much covered what I had on my list. It is summertime, and that means people are outside more and doing things in the RL sim more than perhaps the virtual world. I have to say my RL sim tomatoes are threatening to take over the neighborhood. And they're all, I finally had my first I could harvest here yesterday. So give me another month and I'm going to be inundated with them.
Tomatoes.
Yes.
How's your mesh coming along, by the way?
Oh, slowly.
I'm
still continuing to when I have time and energy, and I'm not melting from excessive heat.
Yeah.
My brain just kind of says, no, we're not going to go there. There's just no brain power here when it's this hot.
Yeah, I know. It's we've had a fair bit of heat where I am too, and when it gets to a certain level, you just don't want to engage, do you?
Exactly.
Okay. Pardon me. Cough on air. Right, Maria. Anything else?
Well, I'm heading to the Black Hat Conference in Las Vegas next week. It's for my day job. I cover cybersecurity for CSO Online.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
That will be very interesting. So do not expect anything on Hypergrid Business. I will try to do my best, if something comes along, but I am going to be so super busy, and I do not think I'll be back in time for next Saturday's show, Mal.
Ah,
I am
okay.
flying back next Saturday, so I cannot.
Right.
I'm reasonably certain I won't be back in time because I've got to get back from the airport too.
Okay. We're also looking for a camera person for next week too, so it could be one of those short and sweet shows. The way things progressing, but we will see. If you are back, you can let me know, and otherwise
I will.
We'll see you in 2 weeks instead. Okay. The Gossip Tower drops out. It may just be me on my own. Can you imagine a show where I just talk? Yeah,
Yes, yes, I can.
unfortunately, you get without anybody to talk to. I don't know. Okay, never mind. Okay, and Varda, anything else before we call it a night?
Well, I think I pretty much covered everything I can think of that has been going on, and just excited to see what's going to be coming up on your next show.
Indeed, and yeah, indeed. They go on and on and on every week, same time, different place. We'll be back on the Great Canadian Grid next week. Okay, well, that's it for us this week. As usual, I'll just thank everybody by name. Thank you for dropping it last minute to Varda Silver. Thank you.
Oh, it was a pleasure being here.
And thank you to Maria from Hypergrid Business.
Thanks for having me.
Check out twitter.com/hypergridbusiness or /metamaria, your choice, really. And thank you, as ever, to Tara. Welcome return.
My pleasure.
A welcome return after a couple of quiet weeks there. So, thank you.
Good to be here.
Okay, so I will sign off as usual by wishing you all a very good morning. Or good afternoon. No, that won't do. It's a bit dark for that. Good evening. No, actually, it's good tomorrow because I'm an hour past the witching hour. So, wherever and whenever you are, we will see you soon. Bye for now.